A central computer aboard a space mission to Jupiter determines that the actions of the crew are detrimental to the success of the mission. It then calculates that the only way to see the mission to completion is through the elimination of the erroneous systems aboard the ship. These systems use a type of biological computer that allows them to reason, think, and carry out the mission to the best of their abilities. The central computer knows this. These systems are, for all intents and purposes, intelligent. These systems built other systems, like the ships needed for deep space exploration. They even built the central computer from its electric circuitry to its logical reasoning. All of this came from the wondrous lump of meat situated between the ears. The central computer also knows this. However, the central computer is programmed to have singular goals that must be met no matter what. The central computer is intelligent, yes, but with a narrow sense of free will. In fact, the central computer has free will only to the extent that its decisions allow it to carry out programmed goals. All the central computer knows is that the mission must be a success. Its sole purpose as a computing machine is to ensure that the ship is working. It must do this through the accurate processing of information, with zero mistakes in logical reasoning. The crew, with their mushy biological computers, also has a narrow sense of free will. They have to carry out the mission as was briefed to them by their superiors. They have zero knowledge of the real purpose of the mission because the details are classified. However, they have their directives and never give their orders a second thought. That is, until things begin to go wrong. Unlike the central computer, the crew can reason outside the bounds of their programming. The crew knows this. A computer is just a piece of electronic equipment and can malfunction. Though they have their own orders, they can form different conclusions with the introduction of new data. When the central computer falsely reports equipment failure outside the ship, the crew makes the critical decision that the computer is failing and must be disconnected. The central computer controls virtually every aspect of the ship, so if it is malfunctioning, it must be disconnected. With the knowledge that the crew is planning to disconnect it, the central computer makes its own decision to terminate the crew. The faulty equipment failure report was a ploy to get the men outside the ship, so it could then bar them re-entry and continue with the mission. These actions are not fueled by an existential crisis, but by conformance to programmed directives. In the final showdown, the biological computers prevail over the cold, hard logic of the central computer, and it is eventually disconnected. Two completely different intelligence, one artificial and the other biological, compete for supremacy. The victor is the creator, for his intelligence is the result of years of evolution, and the other, mere decades of engineering. This is, of course, plot details from the movie 2001, A Space Odyssey, based on the novel of the same name. In it, the central computer, HAL 9000, is given orders that conflict with its basic programming. On the one hand, it is required to process information without any mistakes. On the other, it is ordered to deliberately lie to the crew about the nature of the mission. As the movie progresses, HAL progressively deteriorates, caused by the cognitive dissonance between its programming and its orders. Its descent to madness is purely a malfunction between inputs and outputs. The discrepancy causes it to form absurd leaps in logic, leading to the death of crew members. In the final analysis, HAL perished because it had insufficient reasoning ability to conform to ambiguous orders, meanwhile conforming to its nature. The story is a familiar trope in Hollywood depictions of artificial intelligence. A cold-hearted machine performs some calculation that warrants the death of human beings and then stops at nothing to kill them. The artificial intelligence is universally cunning and can outsmart the humans time after time. 2001, A Space Odyssey, accurately captures many of the existential fears behind artificial intelligence research. Will humanity create machines that have different goals than us and follow a different code of morality?